Attention bobsled riders! You will soon be embarking on a thrilling podcast down the icy slopes of the Matterhorn. So please remain seated, keeping your hands, arms, feet and legs inside the bobsled at all times. Auf Wiedersehen!
Hello, Yodelers. We are the Matterhorn Yodelers. I am your host today, Jackie, and I'm back.
She's back.
Are you gonna introduce us?
This is just a Jackie episode.
This is my podcast.
She's come back with like, this is the contract. Only my name is in ownership.
She's got to catch up to missing episodes.
No, I was letting the fans know that I'm back. And we'll see if I'll stay. Unless I get
The old boys club now.
Yeah. We'll see if I get kicked out. But we also have
G5th.
Oh, sorry. My name's Peter.
Yeah.
And I am Father Yodeler.
And Father Yodeler's here. And we'll probably be here a lot more.
I'll be here. Whether I say anything is something else.
Whether he wants to participate is up to him.
And today's episode, we are going to be talking about it's been 4 years.
We have completed 4 years. We are now going into our fifth year
of producing this podcast, and we've released an episode every week, have not missed a week, which is a great accomplishment.
Were you ever late on a
Yes.
There's like it'll pop up on a Tuesday, or it was missed.
I think there was one day where I wasn't able to get it. I might have been out of town or something like that. Or it's usually like we had like something going on Sunday, so I couldn't edit it in time to have it posted, so I'd do it Monday morning.
Yeah, it was delayed Monday, but
So what day do we usually expect it to come out? Should the listeners expect
Mondays.
Monday it should be out. Technically it's posting Sunday night, 9:30 Arizona time.
So if you wake up Monday morning and
it'll
it's
be
not there,
it's my fault.
It's
my fault, 100%.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. I'm in full control of that.
So today we're going to be discussing the beginnings, I think, and the last 4 years.
Yeah.
kind of a past,
of
present,
podcast.
and future kind of feel.
And so
The future, are we talking about the ending of the podcast?
In the year 2000. The old Conan O'Brien reference there. I'm a millennial. I'm sorry.
So my understanding that this all started somewhere,
With a mouse.
I think.
No.
Did it? With a mouse? No. I think actually the first person to actually suggest it verbally was Jackie.
Correct.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that all three of you had been thinking about podcasts before that. So, Japheth, were you thinking about podcasts before Jackie brought up this podcast?
I thought we would have fun conversations. I never thought we would actually get it into a podcast. I just thought we had some fun discussions as families where it was kind of like a would you rather or what would you put here kind of discussions, or we would discuss our thoughts on movies, and it was just in our family gatherings. And I was like, oh, these are really good. You know, what if we could, like, in my mind, I'm like, it'd be cool if we'd like to go back and harness like those conversations, because we're, as my wife says, we talk on top of each other, and the passion grows on the subject to be heard, and it's overwhelming. I only feel so bad for the in-laws of this family that they're like, wow, you guys are just over on top of each other. We put a mic in front of us. We're pretty good about not talking on top of each other.
I'm pretty bad still.
We don't want to be seen as the rude ones.
Right. It's on recording. It's documented at that point once we start recording that.
Yeah,
You
I know.
keep interrupting me.
We listen back and we're like, oh, I was being rude.
That was me. I don't want to do that again.
And then, Peter, I think you were thinking about having a podcast or doing a podcast at some point before that as well.
I think it was a YouTube.
Yeah, I thought about doing like a YouTube channel, doing a discussion. I had no idea that my family would want to be involved in.
Or did I want to have involved?
Yeah, that would be an aspect of it as well. I mean, it was just, yeah, I would come, and I think the idea started coming because I started listening to several different Disney podcasts, and so they would have some silly discussions. So sometimes when we would get together as a family, I would bring up some of these questions and to see what sort of responses we get out of, like to hear your ideas or whatnot. And so it was definitely like, oh yeah, like these are fun discussions because I enjoy talking nonsense to things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. And
yeah, you do. No, I'm just joking.
I love it. And so when Jackie, said, hey, what are your feelings about doing a podcast? It was all like, oh, I've got someone that wants to do it with me. Okay. It was just like, yeah, let's do it.
All right. And so, had you thought about it much before doing a podcast about something else, or was it always Disney that you were thinking?
I always thought it would be so cool. I mean, this was probably a year before I even brought it up to the boys. It'd be like, this would be so cool if, like, all three of us could do a podcast. We all worked at the parks. We all have different perspectives. But I just had so much doubt, like, no, because, like, we're not that, like... At the time, like, we weren't super, like, talkative to each other, like, outside of family events. And I thought, well, no, there might be drama, or I don't think they'll want to do it. And then...
Nothing worse than Disney drama.
I know.
I think Peter's done a good job editing most of that out.
I try. Sometimes it's a little difficult.
But COVID hit... I didn't have a job, and I was like...
She's like, I can make money doing this.
No.
Money and podcast. That's a funny joke.
No, but I didn't have a job, so I just had a lot on my mind, and I was like thinking about it more and more, and I was just like, well, it doesn't hurt to send a text, and if they crush my dreams, it's fine.
We're good at crushing
Oh,
dreams.
so you did it by text.
Yep, I sent a text, and their response was like, yeah, sure. And that was like...
There was like a K in there. K.
Yeah. Like, it was like minimum response. It was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to do a lot of planning and pulling weight. So let's go. Let's bring it. Let's...
You still are.
The weightlifter.
Yeah, she's the organizer.
I would
She's
say
the
I'm
fluid
the
of the
manager.
She keeps things moving.
All right. So what has it evolved a lot when you first started sitting down seriously discussing it? What were you saying that we should do this, we shouldn't do that? What things?
There was a lot. So like we met every single week
month before we released.
It was like 2 months.
Yeah.
It was like 2 months before we released, because it was like we started in May, June, and then it was not until the end of July that we released our first episode.
I thought it was August.
So this would be 2020.
It was July 29th, 2020 was our first episode. What's Your Disney Story?
Right.
August 13th was the next episode.
Yeah, there was a separation there. I think at that point we weren't sure if we wanted to do every week or every other week sort of thing.
There was a lot of planning beforehand before we released an episode, and we did 2 mock episodes.
I think we only recorded one, which we haven't released yet.
We recorded 2, but we lost one. It was over Zoom, and I don't know what happened.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Do you still have the original recording?
It's ready to go. I can just hit publish and it can go live.
It's our backup.
I haven't listened to it. It's one of those
it was I
case.
think it was the Destroy the Mountain discussion,
which we've probably had that discussion before. But
ideas have come off from that.
Right. But we would meet every week to have that discussion about like, okay, so what topics do we want to have? Which topics do we not want to have? And I know there were some topics that like I would bring up and you guys were like when I said like, how about we do like history segments? And you guys were like, no, we're not going to do that. I don't want to do that.
You were hard against news.
I was. I'm still hard against doing weekly news or whatnot.
Yeah, it took a lot of planning of figuring out our name.
Yes, I forgot the list. I have the list of all the names still.
I still like my list name. Walt's Frozen Heads.
Yes. Yeah.
We had a lot of good potential names.
It was kind of a play off of like the Lone Rangers from like Airhead, the movie with Adam Sandler. Where they're like the Lone Rangers.
Right.
It contradicts itself, and that's what I kind of like Walt's Frozen Heads.
Right.
And we actually put it on Facebook,
Yeah, we
didn't
put
we?
it on, we had social media poll for it.
It was close.
Oh, really?
Yeah, between Walt's Frozen Head and Matterhorn Yodelers.
It's plural heads.
And of course, Matterhorn Yodelers won. So that's how...
I think Jackie wanted it. That's why it won.
I don't know.
You weighted the votes, huh?
Yeah.
I don't remember this poll happening. I thought we
did.
just voted and we just decided
there was
on
a
that.
poll.
Okay.
We voted on like the last like two.
Yeah.
Yeah, we voted.
Yeah, it was
to the
between
last two.
between Walt's Frozen Heads and Matterhorn Yodelers.
Yeah.
The merch would have been awesome with that.
I don't know. We probably would have got a note from Disney.
Well, at least we're on
No,
their radar.
Right?
So on the technical side, what did you have to do? I mean, for anybody just thinking here, how do I start a podcast? What technically did you have to do to get it done?
Well, first we had to find a platform to produce the podcast, which we did it through
Anchor.
which is connected with Spotify. It's free to upload.
And we own the content, right? It was something like that.
Do we?
I don't remember.
I don't know. I mean, you can download all the content.
Right. Yeah, so like we did that. I was on the hunt to find, so once we established the name, I went on the hunt to find some
Free music.
free music to use. So I tried to find some yodeling music. I actually had to pay for the rights to the music that we use for our intro. I bought like it was like 100-year, and it was like $5,
I'll take the hit for the team.
Right. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just buy the rights to play this guy yodeling, which, I think it's like a full 3-minute.
I think it
Yodeling.
worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job.
It's seamless.
And then we had one mic.
Yeah.
We actually had two. We had
two.
two mics.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
we would record with two different mics, and then we
Depending
depending on which recording sounded better, we would choose one or the other.
Yeah, because I got a microphone from Father Yodeler for my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Before the summer, because he was like, "Well, if you guys are gonna do a podcast, you got to have a microphone." And so he got me that for my birthday, and then Peter had his microphone.
I also got a mic from Father Yodeler for my birthday.
He just wants us to record our voices.
Indeed.
So
Our first
Father
sponsor.
Yodeler was definitely the sponsor.
He was sparking. He was the spark that got the fire going, for sure.
Yeah.
He helped eliminate some of those roadblocks of like our excuses of like, well, we don't have any recording equipment, so let's forget about it.
I wanted to see what would happen. Little did I know, 4 years later, it's still happening.
Yeah, and we upgraded our mic sinks to J5.
Yeah,
It was a garage sale, right, or
it
online?
It was OfferUp.
OfferUp.
and I pieced the different parts together.
Yeah.
It's not perfect.
Hey, it sounds a lot better than
Way
what it was.
better.
You listen to original content, you could tell that I didn't know how to edit, and you can tell that our mics were really bad.
Our mic.
Our mic was
Yeah.
really bad. Yes.
It was because like someone would laugh and it would be like you'd get the feedback.
Well, it's because like it was one mic in the middle, and so the people who would lean in would be really loud, and then there's people who are sitting back that sounded like way over here, and
That sounds like Shy Ronnie.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that pretty much
That
handles-
was the setup, yeah.
Yeah, we were like going from like trying to figure out our room to room situation and where we were gonna be, but we have done the majority of them in your
At my house.
At your house.
Jackie's house was the studio.
Yes, I had the studio.
She didn't have any kids running around screaming.
That was
We-
a big
Yes.
point.
I had
right
no
there.
kids screaming, and then now we're at our new location because there's a little Yeti at my house who likes to scream.
Yeah, actually, there's been change. All three of you have had a child during this
Probably.
podcast.
During this podcast, we've all
Yeah.
gained. I've gained
One
two.
son.
I've gained two kids. No, I had one already.
No,
I had
you
one.
already had one.
That's right. She was a young baby already.
Yeah, so
She
each
was
of
super
you
young.
have added to your population.
Yes.
So congratulations. So what were there any challenges deciding what you're going to discuss, or did it just kind of fall together? I mean, you didn't want to do news.
Right.
We had a huge list.
Yeah, I think we
Of
had at least like
ideas.
20 episodes at first. Like we had a good list that we were
Yes.
working off of. And a lot of it was kind of playing off of, like kind of scenarios of like, there was the one game that we did at first. It was like
Oh, it was like
Disney
a mixed
character
match.
battle. We're
Yeah.
like, oh, this will be fun. And then we did it and it was like,
It was rough. That was a
Yeah.
rough episode.
I was like, oh, it's a fun game. But
You
did
guys
not do well.
You
on the
guys
recording.
stumped me with Wally versus Ursula. I don't know how to pull that off.
Yeah, the
the robot in the ocean.
the improv we found was harder
for us.
when you're recording. You're like, you have the pressure of dead space,
Yes.
or dead air while you're recording, and you're like, okay, maybe we need to pull back on the improv stuff, the gaming, because it just doesn't work, or you just feel the panic. It's like, this isn't working.
Yeah. And like we will at the beginning of building the podcast, we still met weekly, even after producing it,
Mhm.
of coming up with ideas, and we would build our calendar out with 3 months of ideas.
And so it was basically whatever the three of you agreed upon. That's what made the list.
Pretty much.
There's not a lot of fighting.
There
No.
isn't, because we're usually scrounging for ideas. We're like,
There's a panic
like,
where you're like,
we've got nothing planned for the next month.
and you're like, all right, we'll just do a brainstorming, and we'll have like 6 months after that.
Yeah.
It's just weird, and you go into, you're going, I don't got anything, guys. You're like, well, but what about this and this?
Yeah.
And just like,
Yeah, we'll
the
just-
ideas just flow during that 45-minute Zoom that we have during the week.
Yeah, usually we'll just feed off of each other, and that's how we'll get ideas.
It's usually okay, well, let's go back into our old hat of tricks. Let's see here. Okay, we're doing another window. It's about time to do another Windows.
I do keep track of all the episodes, so I can see like, okay, it's been like 6 months now. We can pull back and do this one. You know?
Yeah, and we'll try to do in the month, we'll try to do a history one, a movie one, a parks one.
I think we tried really hard to separate it when we first started. I don't think we try as hard anymore.
I think we still do. We don't do back-to-back reviews.
No.
We've
And
cut
we don't do-
back.
We've cut
and we-
back on the reviews.
And we don't do back-to-back on like park
right.
stuff. So we'll break up like something creative with something like some news,
Mm-hmm.
or and then there'll be some one where it's a like kind of unopinionated kind of one where it's just
Yeah.
like, what do you think about this? Or yeah.
So on these history ones you do some research, sometimes a lot of research.
Sometimes
Which
a
ones
lot.
Can you think of that you did a lot more research than you expected?
It's always the Epcot ones.
The
Yeah,
Epcot,
the Epcot ones
take
are-
a long time.
No, the
The window ones.
No.
Sometimes the windows are
Muppet
really
one.
short. The Jim Henson one.
Jim
That
Henson
was a
one.
big
I
one.
listened to his biography twice. And yeah, that one was.
that was a big one.
That was a big episode.
Um,
Do
Do you think it shows in the podcast?
I think so.
Well, I'm crying. I
That
grew
was-
attached to Jill. I was like, he died.
That's one of my favorite episodes.
Because she could listen to my tears in the morning, and it's like, it fuels Jackie's soul.
Yeah.
So that the Jim Henson, Epcot, and the Windows are the ones that cross your mind. Now,
The
Disney
like
CEOs.
the tips.
Oh, yeah.
Disney CEOs took a while.
That took a while too.
Yeah.
It's usually anything that requires like a biography,
Yeah.
because you don't want to sound stupid.
now which one of those?
Too late.
Maybe we've covered it. Is there one that sticks out in your mind?
For what?
For that you learned something that you didn't expect.
I learned a lot from the CEO's one
Yeah.
because I listened to Bob Iger's book, and then I listened to who was the CEO during the Golden Age? Bob Eisner.
Okay.
I listened to his book. It was more about like summer camp, but he brought in some of his experience from working at Disney. And so I really learned a lot from those two CEO like biographies.
They're the ones that are written the most, unless you go to Walt Disney.
Right.
Of course.
Yeah. I had the hard ones.
The no names.
The no names, the ones people do not remember.
Voice, no.
Windows the Windows episodes are the ones that I usually learn the most on. Just learning about the different Imagineers or the different people that made an impact in the parks, and I really appreciate, because it's like I would never, if it wasn't for this podcast, learn about
The little
it.
details enhances the experience
Yeah.
now in the parks.
Yeah, I know it's
And the artwork.
made me buy more books. Say, oh, there's a book.
The one time we asked you to fill in. Yeah.
So you're saying not to invite you on another Windows
I'm
episode?
not saying that. Mom
just-
might appreciate it.
Your bookcase might. Your bookshelves are looking up
Bookshelves.
pretty heavy right now.
They're kind of leaning in a little bit.
But okay, good. So what about the reviews? You've also had to do some research on some of those reviews. Maybe hours on hours of watching. Or...
I do extensive, like, I do storyboards so I can flow with, like, so it's kind of a curse and it's kind of a benefit, because I
Right.
know I can always go back, but then I get too much in the weeds sometimes on the episodes with some of those like storyboards I
Right.
do, and it kind of prolongs it. So I apologize for those like hour and 20-minute episodes.
Those
I think the most painful one that we had was the Disney sequels.
the Disney sequel one was definitely the
Man.
hardest one
That
to
was
do.
the hardest one.
That
I
was
hated
rough.
some of those movies.
That was my idea.
The Tarzan ideas.
We had to try to watch all the Disney sequel movies, and they are
Horrendous.
terrible.
There's some gems in there,
Yes.
but they're 90% terrible.
Wow. Okay.
So that- yeah.
Any other type of
So
episodes?
the review.
Oh.
Like going back to the reviews. I think Jackie did get the harshest review.
She did get the harshest
The
review.
Into the Woods.
Oh yeah.
We really
You ate
we
that.
really battered, and then when we saw that there was blood in the water as siblings, we were brutal.
We were.
Well, and
You're like,
usually what happens is the boys, if they are agreeing they will attack harder on me.
Strength in numbers.
And that just shows what our childhood was like.
our
If-
dynamic does
yes.
change. It does come out. Our child dynamic does come out in those moments where it's like, oh, Jackie doesn't like this.
Jackie's
Let's
giving me a
dig
reaction.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There was at least one episode after we were done recording. I got really mad at with how they were treating me.
Oh, sorry.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Therapy's coming. Welcome to the Matterhorn therapy.
The drama part here.
I mean, I got over it, but
This is where we had our disagreement and we're gonna break up, and then we
no.
figure it out and we push through and go to the concert.
It's
Yeah,
funny.
Disney Plus show, right?
There we go.
No, it's funny because
Like
like
the Beatles,
Yeah.
Sherman Brother documentary. I had just watched it when we were talking about starting this podcast, and so that was one of my fears of like, we're gonna do this podcast
And we'll
we're
hate each other
hate
even
each
more.
other more.
I had no fears about.
Well, and I remember
the
talking to
dynamic.
you, and you're like, do you think this is gonna impact your guys' relationship? And I was like, I don't think so.
It enhanced it, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
We communicate, and
We're a lot closer.
we got Peter to communicate with us.
Sometimes.
Peter is you show up and you talk to us on a at least on a monthly level. There were some times I was like, I haven't heard from Peter in a while.
I get caught up in my own world. That's for sure.
No, definitely this podcast has made us grow closer.
Yes.
Okay. Any other type of podcast other than reviews and history that you had to do a lot of research or preparation?
The law book we all read.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That one was what's the name of that book?
The
remember?
People versus Disneyland.
That one was a good one.
Yes.
And I couldn't look at Disneyland the same way.
It does. It kind of you'll look at things a little differently.
It's
after
our
reading that book.
23rd episode. Came out January 10th, 2021. That one, if you want to hear like all the bad things that have happened and how Disney responded
Yeah.
and how you think you're going to sue Disney,
No.
listen to that episode.
Yeah.
That'll let you know.
Hey,
Yeah.
You take the settlement.
you're-
Take the settlement.
Yeah.
If someone dies, take the settlement. They'll bring out Winnie the Pooh and attraction rides to the courtroom
And have the jury take the jury to Disneyland.
and take them to Disneyland. Boy, that's a hard case.
That's a
right?
hard case.
Gotcha. So that, from personal experience, I remember the preparation it took to do like the Disneyland trivia I did once, and then
Right.
Disneyland music. Lots of preparation.
Yes.
Yes.
The
You
music one.
did.
You did really good job at those. When we play games, we're just like, all right, I'll bring my game, and then we'll just pick a random card.
I know, right?
But when Father Yodeler does trivia, it's a lot better.
I agree.
Yeah. But I would say for a music episode, one of our best episodes for music was our hero versus villain episodes.
I think that was my idea,
It might have been.
where I was all like, oh, like, what was it? The comparison of
Right.
the two and like who would win or who nailed
Who
It's
it.
our
had a better
second
version?
popular episode.
What's our first one? I'm curious.
Disneyland Secrets.
Yeah, that one's the
Yeah.
curious people.
Heroes versus Villains is number 2, but Alani is very close.
Yeah, Lonnie's does
People
very
want
well.
the informative ones. I like story times when we're sharing our stories from
Oh,
our
the
college
story.
programs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't done those because we kind of burn out on our stories.
Well, yeah, we did like guests behaving badly,
Yeah.
and then cast members behaving badly.
Yep.
There's no correlation at all. None whatsoever.
And so we got a request of a question to ask. Jackie, who was your favorite key roommate?
Yeah, it was Courtney. She was my DCP roommate. Shout out.
Was she the one that asked the question?
Yeah. But that's okay. She knows that she was the favorite.
I don't think I had a favorite roommate.
Did you
I
have
only-
a favorite roommate?
It was the one that worked all the time and that wasn't there. He was pretty good.
One I never spoke to, saw,
Or the one that moved out of my room and I had my own room for a while.
that's
He was really good. Man, the silence that came from him after he left, amazing.
right.
There were some really like nasty roommates. Just you're dealing with 20-year-olds that still don't know how to like
Right.
live
Well, and
without their mom.
I connected with Courtney before the DCP.
You contacted her before.
We connected through a Facebook group of like when I was going to DCP, like there were so many different like Facebook groups that you can like try to connect with roommates, and like there was one that had the similar religion too, and so that's how we connected. And so it was nice that you found someone.
You found
had-
someone in the Jedi faith.
someone with similar beliefs as you and similar relations.
We're all of the same belief of Disney and,
Yes.
and the mouse.
We all go to the Church of Figment.
Doesn't say that works out all the time because, there's
But-
crazy people everywhere, but it worked out for me. And I mean, you guys met Courtney.
Which is
when-
cool.
Yep.
Yeah. We did a lot of cool things together and great memories.
And
So.
at least her favorite Disney character isn't Bugs Bunny. So.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We still cringe about that story. That was the story of me going to the presentation for the college program, and they're just trying to hand out free prizes at that point. And they're like, what's your favorite Disney character? Bugs Bunny. And it's like, oh. Oh, man.
Question is, were they saying that just to be funny or
No.
were they serious?
No.
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 I think they were serious. I was there. Yeah. I
It
think
was-
They were serious.
It was. They were just like, oh, this, Tweety Bird, and it's like, oh man,
Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory.
I think
Dee.
I think Peter definitely got everybody's attention at that interview because he knew all the answers.
I did know all the answers.
And so when he asked to be part of the Tower of Terror, I think they were saying,
he'll
check.
be good.
Well, yeah.
So we got another question here, and that came in from someone. Jackie, what was your favorite episode?
I would say my favorite episode was the Alani one because
As you went to Alani.
I went to Alani. No.
How was the research on the Alani trip, Jackie?
Is that tax deductible?
No, of course, any of the trip episodes were fun just to discuss your
It's
experience.
always
and-
fun to reminisce about your vacations. So
Yeah.
It has been a positive about this is somebody goes on a trip and then they record it and you
Yeah.
get that like memory, stored and you get the reactions because you could go on a trip and you experience the same thing, but you'll be on there with your significant other talking about that trip and the positive things, or with your siblings that were with you and you share the experience, but you may have different opinions about it. And
Right.
so that's been a really cool thing
like
about
how
this
Small
podcast.
World broke me.
Small World broke you.
Yes,
broke
that's
me.
right. There was also another episode. It was like we were on our 4th recording.
Oh,
It was
so it was
the-
our
Captain Hook is French.
The Disney
That was-
News headline.
no, it was
or-
it was the online Disney quizzes.
Yes,
that we ended on one of those.
we
The-
were dying laughing that
We were.
entire
Yes.
episode, partially because we were so tired.
We were.
We had 3 prior episodes
And
that
they
we
were,
were
like,
ripping
heavy
their
episodes.
jokes. So we were pulling back from jokes from, like, to you guys weeks, but to us it was hours. So they were really fresh, and we were having fun.
And the one line of like,
I was
Yeah.
like, did you know Captain Hook was French? And we're like, oh, okay.
You're
And
like-
he's like, I don't know.
you're like, he is, and I was like, yeah, of course, like he's French. Why not? Like,
and,
you're like,
and he was like, no, I made that up.
I don't know, I just made that up.
I'm like, whoa, okay.
So that's definitely an inside story of joke of ours. Of
Is Captain Hook French? I don't know, but he may be.
So for anybody just starting out with the Matterhorn Yodelers and they don't want to listen to 200 hours of episodes necessarily before, Japheth, what episode would you recommend that they?
I think the one where I thought this was going to be fun was One Day with Walt.
oh, that was early.
That was our
on.
4th episode.
Yeah.
And for us, that one probably, like I go, this was fun. Where Peter, or Jackie gave her story, and I was like, yeah, that's a good story. And I was like, that's like how Jackie would spend time. And then for me, I was all like, I'm going to do whatever I want.
He did. He
Yeah.
did.
And that episode, me and Walt robbed a bank wearing Walt mask, and then we were jet skiing in the rivers of America, and we were riverboat gambling. It was just like, I'm not doing traditional. And then Peter brought us back.
I did.
And
I
he
had
had
to
a
realize
really
that.
good moment, and I was like the chaos of us siblings and one homework assignment.
There's sometimes we are strategic about who goes first
Yes.
and who goes last.
Yeah, Peter will be like, "What do you got going?" I was like, "Well, I've got this parade that attacks
Great,
another
you're
parade."
gonna go in the middle. You are not closing us
Oh,
up.
I'm the white filling in the Oreo. All right, you guys can be the boring.
Yes, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm okay being the cookie.
I do have to say the one episode that really is kind of like people talk about when I ask or when I tell people that I do a podcast, they're like, "Oh, what do you guys talk about?" And I go, "Well, this episode gets people thinking, and it's the Marvel Infinity Saga.
Oh, yeah.
Which 5 movies would you recommend to someone that are not the Avenger films?" And so that always gets people like, "Well, I would do this one because it's got this, and it's got that, and this."
Everybody has different answers, and it's
I-
great to hear other people's opinions.
Yeah,
on
they're
it.
like, "I'll do Thor 2," and you're like, "Thor 2?" And you're like, "Okay." You know, everyone's got a different opinion about that. And that's what I kind of like these discussions because it's not the same. You figure like, "Oh, siblings, they should have the same." No, we do not.
we are always pretty opposite on a lot of them.
Peter?
So obviously, I love the Epcot episodes. I love 80s Epcot. So that's always a positive.
Peter gets a time machine. We all know where he's going.
You know it. I'm going to 80s Epcot. But I mean, the ones that like I think are a lot of fun are when we make up stories.
You're really good at
You're
them.
great at it. I'm terrible at it.
I'm hit or miss on my stories, but you are awesome at it. So I
Yes.
can see why you like them.
It was just a lot of fun. It's just like because and for those that don't know, like we have is it two episodes where we did this with the Haunted Mansion?
Yeah.
2 episodes where we picked random ghosts and give them their own backstory.
Yeah, we did a
Because
ghost.
most of the ghosts don't have their own backstory. And so we would pick different ghosts. And so, like, I would pick my ghost and, like, I would be like, okay, so what's the unique twist I can put this on? And,
you do a really
it
good
was
one.
it was just a lot of fun. I did the first one was the guy in the coffin, like, let me out of here. I did that one. And then I did the singing bus. And then you had the night.
I had the knight.
The
He's the
Knight.
one that was
Michael Caine.
Sir Michael Caine.
Yeah.
His
After
rival.
that story came out,
Michael Caine retired.
Michael Caine retired. You know, I was just leaving it out there.
And then you
Was it
had
forced retirement?
I'm not saying anything. My lawyer has told me not to say anything.
and then you had the I forget his name because he had a name. The guy in the chandelier.
Ebenezer or something.
No, the guy in the chandelier.
Yeah, his name's like
Pip Tip or
Yeah.
something like that.
it's a character from.
Right. And then Jackie, you had I'm trying to remember which ones you had. You had the
cake.
the birthday lady
Yeah.
who blew out the candles.
Yes.
What was your other one? Your second one?
The opera singer.
Was it the opera singer?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, those episodes came out October 30th, 2022, and then 31st on 2023.
Yeah, October's really the only month that we'll kind of do a theme.
We've
Right.
done Christmas,
Yeah.
and we've done
Once,
a 4th
yeah.
of July.
We did a 4th of July episode.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was a fun one.
I really liked your creative part for the Muppet opening.
Oh, my intros.
Peter
my random
does
my
great
ra-
Peter-
intros.
my random intros when I get inspired. I call them my bad ideas because they take too long to do, but I can't get them out of my head. Let's see. I did several. I did
Have you tried bleeding or leeching?
so.
You
Let's
did
say
the
I think
Muppets?
I did the Muppets. That was like the second one I did.
Did the
first,
Marvel one.
Yeah, the Marvel one.
The Mandalorian one.
The Mandalorian.
Or no,
Boba
Boba
Fett.
Fett. Book of Fett.
It was Book of Fett.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
what it was.
Yeah. Matterhorn. do, 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 do. Yeah. The out of all of them, my favorites were easily the Muppet and the Captain America.
Captain
theme
America
song.
one was good.
But I did do others. I did one for. I did like the Back to the Future one.
Oh yeah, that one's fun.
And then I did one for one of the Haunted Mansion stories. I did an intro for that.
The first one.
Yeah, but
We're gonna expect a 5-year theme, tribute, in a year, so you've got a year.
That could be a really good filler one. Like, hey, we didn't record. Our bad. Here's some songs Peter have done over the years.
I know, right? Remember these? I try to bring them back when they're relevant. So, like, if we have a Marvel discussion, I'll bring back the Captain America one. We haven't done a Muppet one in a while, so that one hasn't come back.
That one's so good. 'Cause you conquered the different voices so well.
Yes, the Muppet one. That one was a lot of fun to do. Recording that one. The Captain America one, that was fun just because, like, that was like one of those like aha moments of like, as I was like,
I can do this.
I can do this. This is how it works. And like it fits perfectly. They even talk about Japan. We're gonna go to Japan and you know, like, yeah. And I'm gonna rip into Bob Chapek.
You were really good. Like, I think this podcast has allowed a really good creative outlook for you to do these type of like recordings, and kind of like how you grew up listening to Weird Al, where you could do parodies. Because I find myself with my kids, I'll parody songs just to make them laugh, but you're actually recording them and sharing them with the listeners. And I was like, that's cool. It takes courage and to just do that. But you actually, like, when you grew up, you were not learning, but you sang.
I did.
And so you actually can do it. As
I
opposed to
tried
me
to do
where
it,
I could sing to a 4-year-old and she's not going, boo.
Not yet.
She's getting pretty close.
So a question I've got: if one of the CEOs, either the current one or the next one, was to listen to one episode, which one would you want them to listen to?
Tomorrowland update? No.
Which one is the one where we rant about the state of
Disney that we do? It's always in January we do State of Disney.
Right.
State of
Disney is a good one. But if I'm trying to like entertain,
Yeah.
So the question is, are you trying to guide Disney
educate,
forward, or are
or
you trying to apply for a job? I guess that would be two different.
I mean, because
there were
sometimes
some
we do
good Imagineering
we do some
ones.
armchair Imagineering where we come up with some fun ideas. There's some all of us have come up with some really good ideas that
we would love to see.
We would
them.
love
So
to
good
see.
that Father Yodeler even mentioned it. And I go, I already talked about that like 3 months ago.
It was so good. It just stuck there.
It was that generic.
It was that, I guess so. that much of a need for it. Yeah, our State of the Unions are usually done in January.
Yeah.
And we'll do also the movie review for the year, and we'll also do the Disney Plus review.
Right.
Which may be different
It's
going to
be different
It's
now
not
that,
gonna-
that
yeah.
Hulu's now, and that
just
complicated a
not gonna
lot of
happen.
things.
They don't have as much
Disney
stuff
Plus
coming out.
isn't producing much.
It is, this year has been
Very light.
very light, so the discussion will be easier.
But yeah, I would say probably any of our Imagineer episodes.
Like what to do with the rides or bulldoze
Fifth
this.
Gate one was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked our Texas one.
Oh, the Texas
Oh.
park.
Yeah, where we created our own park in Texas.
Yeah.
That rumored Disney park that they're going to build in Texas that they've been talking about for the last 40 years.
Yeah.
That was a good episode.
People from Texas have been talking about.
Yeah, but probably mainly our State of Disney.
State of Disney and the Imagineering.
Yeah.
Where the Matterhorn Yodelers imagine.
And this, I like that episode because it really gets, because I really don't follow the Disney news.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite casual in comparison to the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I would say I learn a lot from that. And I see what really irks or what you really like about the parks and the direction it's going or not going in.
Yeah, we're going to find out more about that. D23, that's coming up here. For us, it's next week. And hopefully if we're good about our recordings, maybe next week we'll have our episode for that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and also like our State of Disney, because we don't only we talk about the parks, but we also talk about other parts of the
We do.
Disney.
It's not just
company.
theme parks.
It's not parks. It's,
It's all
Movies,
aspects.
like it'd be
Marvel,
Star Wars. Yeah.
So going to the future, what would you wish that you could talk about in this as something that came real that isn't there yet? So what do you hope that the Imagineers do, or the studios do, that you would love to report? Is it a Boy Meets World movie? What?
That's another very popular episode, is
What
our Boy
would
Meets
you
World
like
episode.
to report on? An episode you'd love to do, but you can't because Disney hasn't done it.
The riverboat gambling on the Mark Twain.
Okay, all right.
No, I don't.
I heard that somewhere that they could legalize that because they've got the Indians on their
Reservation.
Father Yodeler's got jokes.
I guess I'm trying to have a hard time understanding the question. So it's like we want to talk about it, but we can't.
Well, you can, but with your imagination. But what would be one of your highest priorities that you wish Disney would do so that you could report on it?
Oh, okay. Tomorrowland.
Yeah, Tomorrowland's a
Tomorrowland.
big one.
I think that's the one we really harp on the most. Like, we're tired of, Tomorrowland of '96, and it's just
Concrete jungle.
It's decayed state.
Right.
I mean, we're coming up on 30 years since the last. All they're doing is piecemealing little things
They
in
are.
there. It's kind of like this. Well, whatever you want.
Yeah.
So that's high on your priority.
I think that would appease a lot of Disney fans if they were to do something with Disneyland's Tomorrowland.
I think it's the most
especially.
neglected
It
part.
is.
I what I would actually want is maybe some better Star Wars. I think the
Sure.
state of Star Wars is
It's rough.
it's rough right now. I think it's worse than Marvel. And like Disney bought it, and they're like, we're gonna make movies, and we're gonna put it on TV shows. And like, I go to the store, I don't see any merchandise
No.
for like new shows coming out. If it is, it's like shows that came out 2 years ago, and you're like, boy, no one wants it. Oh,
So you
Right.
think maybe the publicity department has fallen down a little bit on that
Oh yeah.
because they aren't creating
I think
the
it's
buzz?
I think it's the storytelling that's
they-
the weakest aspect of Disney.
That is a part of it, but it used to be that Disney had the buzz that
Yeah.
could sell almost anything.
Well, back in when they released episode 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars, their action figures were huge. I mean, I
They would
remember
have 2 aisles
they would
of the
have
toy
huge
store.
Yeah.
aisles, and now you go to the toy store and
And
there's
it's like barely a section for
yeah,
it.
there's maybe
You're looking around and you're like, see one fall in, and then you'll see
Oh, look,
another.
there's a Fennec Shan.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's I think with Star Wars, I think everyone is getting to a point going, has Disney helped it or made it worse?
Right.
And I think the fans are all, even the super fans are going, I think you're making this worse. It's hard to be apologetic,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a new direction needs to.
But we'll probably talk more about that here.
Yeah.
in
But
our
it's one of
next
those things.
episode
It's just
coming up.
like I think that would be one thing I'd want to discuss. Be like, what are you doing? Like, or is it you've left it to these people, and like, are you listening to the fans, or are you just like, no, we're not? I think that would be a discussion I'd want if I had their ear.
Okay. Good. Well, then I got another question about hopefully your biggest fans, and that is your children. What do you hope your children listening to these podcasts get out of what you've done?
our passion. I hope they can acknowledge our passion for our hobby and appreciate that.
I think just the joy
Yeah.
and conversing with, just hearing that us having joy and conversing in something that we have in common,
Mm-hmm.
and that we stay connected over the years.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. It's so easy to separate and focus in on your own house when you get older, because it takes a lot of effort and time and energy just to keep it afloat.
Yes, 100%.
And so I think it's important. You know, one thing I do with my daughters, I go, hey, I tell my oldest, I go, hey, what's your job as a big sister? And she goes, my job is to protect, Isla. And it's more of just like to show that there's a connection, that there's a job and being in that role, and keep that cohesiveness together, that they're always tied to each other. And I hope what they can get from this podcast, if they, if or when they listen to it, or if they just take our recordings and they're able to create an AI based off of our voice and our personality, that works too. That the connection with us.
I would just say that they learn that to stay connected with each other as family, because we grew up as teenagers. We weren't close at all.
Well, there was
We're
age
separated we're all
difference.
separated different age. Like when I'm 18, you're 15.
Mm-hmm.
That's worlds apart in
Right.
like experience with like high school. Like you're
Right.
like, I'm a freshman, and I'm like, I've done this for like 3 years, and like I know what I'm doing.
Right.
And you've got different fears and
Right.
stuff. And
And so
same with Jackie. There's a 4-year difference between you.
like we weren't really close at all. And so that's the one thing I've really appreciated about this podcast, is that it has brought us closer as a family, in the sense that like my wife, she almost gets a not necessarily
She
jealous,
jealous? She
but like
jealous?
she's all like I don't see your family anymore because you see your family every other week. And it's like, yeah.
My wife likes the podcast because she'll be like, so what'd you guys talk about? What's going on with the family? Well, what did Peter
right?
say? So what did Jackie say after that? What did Peter say after that? So when your wives all talk about stuff, and she's like, yeah, I know about this because Peter talked about it with Japheth.
So we
and,
need
like,
to record our pre-conversations for our spouses to listen.
I don't know about that.
No, those will remain between the three of us. Those conversations. Some of those not safe for podcasts, that's for sure.
Yeah, I need to have my filter run through the information of what is said before it makes it to my significant other. But she certainly appreciates getting the information from you and just, oh, okay, that's what's going on. Oh, that's good. And so when we have our birthday get-togethers, it's not a surprise.
Right.
We're not playing catch up.
Yeah.
Well, I hope what they get out is kind of what Disney provided for all of us, which is a spoonful of sugar. And I hope they get a little bit of that from listening to the podcast, to say, oh, my dad was more than just a grumpy guy that used to tell me no.
Yell at me.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something more there. There was that spoonful of sugar. And now I get it a little bit more.
Yeah. We have one last question.
Oh.
It's from our cousin. It says, don't disown me. I'm planning my first trip to the Disney park, California. How to start? We've done a few episodes.
We don't disown you. We welcome you into
Yes.
the fold. Welcome to the family.
Yes. We've done a couple of episodes of tips and tricks, but all I can say is make a list of your must-dos.
Yes.
What is your goal?
Yeah.
What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to command and conquer the whole park, or are you trying to have like a relaxing trip?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta
There's
put it
two
pin at
different
your-
styles of approaching the park.
right
And you may try one of each on
per
different
day.
days.
Yeah.
Correct.
We're just going to try to tackle all the rides if we can. Or
So,
we're
yeah.
just going to take it back easy and sit on this park bench.
But the key, I would say, regardless of what charter trip you want to have, the key, be there at the rope drop of the park. Be there
Yeah.
as soon as the park opens, because that will make the rest of your day.
So much better.
More
Yeah, because
enjoyable.
if kids get tired in the afternoon,
You can go
you
back
can
to
go,
the hotel,
and then you
or
come
whatever.
back in the evening after they've taken their nap.
Right.
At a hotel close to the park.
It helps.
It helps. If your goal is to go back to the hotel, it helps if you're close.
And I think another great way to start, even before you get there, is download the Disneyland app and just monitor it. You can get a feel of what the long waits are.
Mobile orders will be very helpful. Save you a lot of time.
Get to know the app. Get familiar with it. There's YouTube videos on it.
Yeah, I would stay away from news articles because a lot of those are AI generated.
Yeah.
Like the Inside Magic.
Oh, yeah.
It's garbage.
Those are the worst. Gotcha. You're just like,
I
what?
see what it's from, and I say, no, I'm not looking at that.
It's garbage. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Classic Disney attraction closing indefinitely. Because they're switching over Haunted Mansion overlay. It's like, stupid.
After you scroll.
Yeah.
I would definitely know your goal and work off of that. You can't see it all.
No.
Unless you're me.
But the thing is, Peter has extensive experience going. He's been there multiple times and he knows how to approach it. If it's your first time, know your goal.
Yeah.
Which rides are a must, and ask everybody, who wants to ride this, and then where do you want to take a good picture?
That's the number one thing I would say is make sure you get those pictures. 'Cause
Yeah.
those will be important after you get back.
Yep.
Get the good pictures. You may want to go ahead and get the photo pass so you can take advantage of the Disney photographers around. They will be happy memories.
Yeah. But that's kind of the background of our podcast. If you have any questions more about our podcasts or making a podcast, it doesn't even have to be about Disney, let us know. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have. You can email us, follow us on social media, and share with your friends who may be interested. With that being said, have a magical day.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of the Matterhorn Yodelers. Please remember, before your bobsled comes to a complete stop, to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember...
Remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.